be shy. Call in and ask your questions. Dr. Seabrook wants to help because your health matters.
Because your health matters.
No James today? Oh, I'm sorry.
No James?
No James.
He may come in a little later.
All right, and good morning, WLTH AM 1370, 92.7 FM, and it's the time of the month where it's time to get things in order because the doctor is in the house. Dr. Janet Seabrook is with us today, and today we got it right. We got it right on the right Wednesday, but we're happy to see her. We're excited, and today I get to cruise a little bit because she has a lovely lady with her by the name of Delta Jones Walker, and she's with Adled Financial. And you know, the doc can always tie things in, and so today she's really going to bring us home on a lot of things. So I want to welcome to the studio Dr. Janet Seabrook. Before I do that, I want to remind our listeners that the views expressed by the hosts and callers of this show are not necessarily views of WLTH radio management, owner, and sponsors. And with that, I want to say good morning, ladies. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Doing pretty well, Natalie, and I'm just excited to be able to be here with Delta of Adled Financial Services. Delta and I, we call ourselves Triple Sisters because we are sisters in 3 organizations.
Yes.
Our children spent time together in Jack and Jill. So
Same age.
Same age.
Yes.
Jack and Jill moms, and we're Link Sisters.
We're Link Sisters.
And we're AKA Sisters.
Ski-wee.
So, and as you said, Natalie, I usually do find a way to tie health into, whatever I'm talking about. And we have been through and still going through this extraordinary pandemic of COVID-19. And it has caused a lot of stress on a lot of people, and not just on their health. And so I really wanted to have Delta here today so we could have a conversation about financial health during a pandemic. And a lot of people don't see the connection, but we're looking at record unemployment, people having to go into their savings and retirement accounts. And I really just wanted Delta to come and give us some financial tidbits and nuggets of information that can help us in this time of such a devastating public health crisis. So Delta, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you also have a disclaimer, so go ahead and give us this disclaimer, and then tell us a little bit about yourself and your company, and then go straight into how you would advise someone in this time.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. So my disclaimer before I start speaking, listening audience: securities and advisory services offered through Woodbury Financial Services, Inc., member of FINRA, as well as SIPC Insurance Services offered through Adled Financial Group at 717B Main Street, Schererville, Indiana, 46375, which are not affiliated with Woodbury Financial. Okay?
Yes.
I would like to thank you for having me on today. And the name of my firm, Adled Financial, and our office is in Schererville, Indiana. And our main objective is to sit with individuals and business owners to help them develop their financial portfolios, get their house in order financially. And Doctor, you are correct. With this coronavirus, this has been a daunting task because people are like, I have health concerns and I have financial concerns. I've been furloughed. I've had a job displacement. So I always tell individuals, your health comes first. So to alleviate health concerns regarding the stress that may come upon you because of the health crisis that we are in, I tell people all the time, first and foremost, what we need to do is we need to address the issue head on. And everyone is in that issue. So, people might feel a little concerned about calling the different mortgage companies or credit card companies. Everybody is calling them. So don't be nervous. Just call them, because with you being proactive and taking on the job firsthand, they are willing to work with you more, because everyone is in it and they are trying to be in the business of building the wealth, not in turn having wealth that they cannot absorb, which means they have a home, they have a mortgage because you're not paying your mortgage, so they foreclose on your mortgage. The bank gets the mortgage back, gets the home back. They don't want the home. What they want is our funds to come in. So, doctor, I always tell individuals, first and foremost, take a deep breath. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. That's really first and foremost. And then second of all, start the process by reaching out to your creditors. That's the first step.
So you mentioned mortgage payments.
Mm-hmm.
Are there some banks that are willing to do interest-only payments at this time instead of the entire mortgage? Is that something that could potentially be negotiated, where you would pay the interest only on the mortgage?
There are a few different plans, I guess you could say programs out there that they have. You could pay interest only. You can pay nothing for a period of time. I don't really recommend that, because if you pay nothing for a period of time, after that period has exhausted, then they want you to pay everything up front, which in these days and times, that could be very challenging. So you want to ask them, what options do they have out there? They have the forbearance. They have the time where the loans are lapsed for a period of time. Then you have the interest only, and then you have a situation where they'll say, what can you pay? It might be less than the interest only, but they give you that option there in negotiating with you. Not all of the banks and financial institutions are doing that, but some are. So again, that's why I say, first and foremost, call them. But before you even go to that level, this is a very tough conversation. So if you are married, have a live-in, have a partner, or you confide in someone because you're paying the bills jointly, you need to sit down and have a money talk. That's a very uncomfortable conversation at this point in time, but you need to have the conversation, and you need to have the conversation when people are most comfortable. So if it is Friday afternoon once you get off of work, or if it is Saturday morning when you get up you're just sitting there not turning on the television because you're tired of hearing all the news that's going on, whatever your comfort time is, you need to have, at that time, that's when you need to have your money talk. And in having your money talk, you need to go through a few different scenarios. Number one, first and foremost, we need to see how much money do we spend on a monthly basis. Okay, once we look to see how much money we spend on a monthly basis, then we want to see how much money is in our savings and our checking account. Then from that point, we want to go and look at what are our monthly expenditures that we must pay for. Rent, gas, electric, mortgage, the non-negotiables that don't go away regardless. And then from that point, you want to see what are your expenditures that you're spending that you can alleviate. You can just say, for example, when I did it with one of my clients, they buy all name brand food at Whole Foods. That's their store of choice. So I said, well, do you think we could scale back and go to another store like an Aldi's or a Trader Joe's? Something that is not so high end, because of the fact we're trying to cut costs, because for the two of them, their monthly food bill, and this is not eating out, their food bill going to the grocery store was about $800. So I was trying to cut that to at least half, really less than half, because that money could have gone to pay a bill. And so in discussion, we were going through it, and as a result, I said, okay, after we got to the end of that budget discussion, I said, what do you have set aside for an emergency reserve? And they were just both looking like, all we have is what's in our checking and savings. And my recommendation is, especially If you are a self-employed individual, your monthly expenditures or your emergency budget should be greater than what an individual that's doing working a 9 to 5, which has a 1040 or W-2 coming to them. So all of those variables come into play, but the first start of the conversation is the money talk.
So this is all great information, especially in this time when you think that because we really aren't able to go out as much, not going to the movies, not really going out other than to the grocery store. So one would think that with some of those outside of the house things that we used to be able to do, we aren't doing anymore. So one would think that you would be able to save some of that money that you were spending. But I noticed that a lot of people, there's been an uptick on online sales. So people have just shifted from, their tendencies. They've just moved inside the house. I'll just, go online and just shop. So what are some other things that you would recommend? How can you save really during this pandemic? And then just focus on, like you said, those non-negotiable items, such as your electric bill and gas bill and things like that.
Well, first and foremost, going back to the budget, and you're looking at your non-negotiables, and then you're looking at what you can cut. So no, we're not going to go out to eat. No, we're not going to go to the movies. No, we're not going to the brick and mortar. We have Amazon. However, Delta, I've been getting packages and they are not even coming to me, and I have to call Amazon to find out what's going on with my package. And I said, okay, well, what if we don't get a package? Do we really need it? Look at what our needs are. And from that standpoint, when you really assess the situation and you say, you know what, you are right. When you write down your non-negotiables and then you see where you can shave, at the end, when all that has been completed and your monthly expenditures have also been added, that may not be included in your non-negotiables, like your medication or things of that nature, and you're looking at the money that you bring in on a monthly basis. When you subtract it out, that right there is your savings. That's your surplus. Then the question becomes, where do I put it? I'm telling everyone to look for the high yield savings accounts. There are some that are out there, and you want to look for them. What you want to do is you want to get yourself to the point, and this is not going to happen overnight, but if you are cutting your costs and you have larger sums of money, it might happen sooner than normal in normal day times, and that is building your emergency reserves. So between your mortgage and your rent, your electric, your gas, your car note, your car insurance, let's say all of those bills, and your credit card bills, let's say all those bills come to a total of $3,000 a month, and you and your significant other together are bringing in $6,000. So if you're bringing in $6,000, it only takes $3,000 to support everything. Then as a result, you're like, we can save $3,000 a month, and in 6 months, you will have your 6 months reserve. On the other end, if the cash is not that readily accessible after you go through your budget and you start shaving, then the next step would be to save whatever you can. I'm telling people, do not stop putting money into their retirement accounts. A lot of people have stopped, and I said, no, go back. They said, well, the market is down. I said, just like the market went down, it's going to go back up again. What you're doing is you're buying when it's low and you're buying when it's high, and when it averages out, you'll have a return of about roughly 8.24%. That's what the average has been doing in the last 10 years. So those are the discussions that I guess people need to have a verbal conversation, because right now they're just looking at what they see, what is written, or what they hear, but they're not talking one-on-one with a financial advisor. And so that's why I tell everyone, I would love to be your financial advisor. There are several out here. You need to get yourself a financial advisor. You need to go in and have yourself a complimentary consultation. And if they are talking at you and not to you and not with you, that is not the advisor for you.
I've seen and heard your testimony before. You are a living testimony. We have people that you have actually helped their businesses grow. I'm looking at one right now, Seawit. Chelsea tells the story all the time of how you set her on the path to building her company and expanding, and look at how she's grown.
Yes.
And everything has grown. So I mean, the work that you do, we can see it, you know, on a daily basis, looking at Chelsea and the advice that you have given her throughout the years. So
She fussed.
but it worked. It worked. So talk to us a little bit about how we can, because we've just like scraped the surface, how we can really build wealth over time. And it does take time. And we're such a, you know, get rich quick. I want everything to happen fast. But building wealth does not happen fast.
It does not happen fast, and it is not for, I don't want anyone to feel like they have to be born with the silver spoon. Your parents leave you an inheritance. No, you can do it on your own. I have had clients that have literally come to me that have gone through 3 jobs and have a whole lot of student loan debt and a whole lot of credit card debt, and now they are getting ready to hit the mark of being millionaire status.
Yes.
What happened? First and foremost, they were not a 6-figure income earner. Second of all, we changed the pattern on how they were spending money. Third of all, we alleviated the debt. And fourth of all, we were very mindful in how we were spending money, as well as we were very diligent in putting money in our retirement account on a monthly basis, putting money in an additional account on a monthly basis. So I have clients that put money in their retirement account on their job, and they put money in their brokerage account. And so what the result of that, and having annual reviews with your advisor, and in some instances I have quarterly reviews with some of my clients. I just called them to say, hey, the last time we talked about XYZ. I just wanted to get an update on what is going on. They said, oh my God, Delta, I've not ever had a financial advisor to call me. You remember everything. Well, yes, I did. Yes, I did. But the process is, first and foremost, Dr. Seabrook, is to sit down with a financial advisor. Sit with the financial advisor and get your financial house in order. There's several levers to it. It's just not, okay, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to get my budget right, I'm going to start saving. You just want to make sure that if something occurs, you have funds in position to take care of those items. Case in point, emergency reserve. Most people don't have emergency reserves. We want to get to the point that we have an emergency reserve. Second is preparing for college education. If we're not going to prepare for college education, but we have kids that's going on to college, what are the programs that are out there? We want to make sure risk management. I'm not saying anyone is going anywhere no time soon, but if somebody does go somewhere, you want to make sure that the family is going to grieve through the process, but it will not be a grieve financially for them as well. Ask the family member, do you want them to live the same lifestyle that they're living right now financially if something were to happen to you 2 weeks ago? That's a hard question for people. They're just like, where'd you get that question from, and how did you come up with 2 weeks? We laugh, and I'm just saying, okay, because I don't want to say you're gone right now. So hindsight, if something happened 2 weeks ago, what do you want to happen financially for your family? And people come up with a laundry list. And so when you come back and you say, okay, to match your laundry list, this is what the insurance cost would be and how much coverage. They're like, wait, whoa, that's a lot. Okay, you want to start shaving? Let's talk about this, because before you gave your laundry list. But again, it engages the conversation with the individual, the family members, and then they start looking. Okay, well, I have a pension on my job. Do I need to say I just want a lump sum, or do I want to do a survivor benefit? What do I want to do? And then you come across and you say, okay, if you're doing a survivor benefit, just know that if that person is the shorter survivor, what is the window that they're going to give you that you can change that benefit to another survivor? And does that survivor have to be only a spouse? will they give you the opportunity, if you have a partner or a live-in person, to put them as your joint survivor? Will they give you the ability to put your children as your joint survivor? Because I want to tell you right now, there's only one institution in Indiana, period, that will let your children be your joint survivors. I have 2 kids right now. Their parents died in 1990, and they're still receiving half of their parents' pension, and they're going to receive it for the rest of their lives. That's an unknown, but it came in discussion when the parent asked me, go with me to complete my paperwork for retirement. Okay, no problem. So when I sat there and I was talking with the representative and started asking the questions, the representative was floored and said, more financial advisors need to come in here, because we've never had anyone to ask us these many questions, and you're making valid sense. I understand where you're going. This is not something that I hear you're talking, but I can't understand where you're going. You are making reference to every bullet point that you are addressing. I understand it. And the client was sitting there nodding her head, said, yes, I get this too. Why would I leave my money with your organization? You all are already wealthy. I want to build wealth for my family. And that is called generation wealth. So it's several different levers in regards to doing it, but the first step is sitting with an advisor to help you get on track.
Imagine how many people need information like that when they're filling out those papers at their companies, and they have no idea, that there are some remedies for their pension.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that information. But I want to ask you a question about bankruptcy.
Okay.
And is this something that you have ever had to advise a client to do, to help them get out of debt before they can start to build that generational wealth?
I don't give a recommendation for bankruptcy.
Okay.
Just like we got in it, we can get out of it. It's a process. And when you go to an individual, when you go in that process, people are more likely to work with you. But a lot of people look upon bankruptcy as, okay, this is my clean sweep, and then I can start all over again. 9 times out of 10, a person that files bankruptcy, unless it's because of medical or car accident, didn't have no car insurance, if it's just credit card debt, Dr. Sheila, Dr. Seabrook.
It's okay.
You see, I was getting ready to get in my groove, right? If it's because of credit card debt, we're going to see that again. And it is just like a vicious cycle that does not ever end. So once again, we have to be disciplined upon ourselves. And being disciplined upon yourselves, you need to own up to what you did and get yourself out of the mess that you got yourself into.
And that's really why I asked the question, because I think there's so many people that do get into credit card debt. They look at that as a way out of the situation. And when those things are paid off, it seems like that pattern continues. And so I think that it's great that you don't advise bankruptcy, and that you try to work with the client and help them pull themselves, actually changing their habits.
Right.
Actually,
that's the first thing. You're changing the habit, because a lot of individuals look upon it as, okay, an easy way out. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not an easy way out. And really, you want to be wise with your money. You're wise with everything else. Let's be wise with our money. Okay, I have a debt. I'll use myself as an example. Okay, and I say, okay, well, I have a credit card that has no money on it, no balance, and it has a $50,000 limit. I'll just charge it on the credit card. Well, no, because the interest rate on the credit card is 12.99%, whereas I could probably go get a line of credit, or maybe if it's that dramatic, I might want to refinance. I want to look at what all the options out there in the interest rates before I put myself in this trick bag where I have this huge amount of interest that I'm paying back, because by the time I pay the card off, I really have paid that card off twice.
Yes.
So that's my...
This is great
Okay,
information.
So I need to jump in here because
Okay.
I've been
Come
listening.
on, Natalie.
Dr. Seabrook has been doing this. So contrary, you talked about being housed in and under the COVID. I've been able to actually save money. I have more money now, I think, than I ever had saved up in my life. Seriously. Don't know how to do it. And then I have a jar this tall, and I know you're going to say something about it, this tall, that it's like all the change, because I do use my debit card a lot, but I purposely do that, and it's like I'm dumping 20s, 10s, and one into this jar, and they've been sitting there for a while, so I know what you're going to say next. I already know where we're going. But one question is, I hear a lot of people talking about you know how they tell you that you can get debt and we can help you erase this and erase that. Is that a valid thing?
Debt stoppers.
You're called the debt stoppers.
Yeah, and more. And you hear people that are advertising, you can go online and you can do this. You can pay people and they're gonna erase all this. Is that valid?
That I would not recommend. Okay. They are listed with the Better Business Bureau, and no one has given them a bad mark. However, I've had clients to come to me after they've gone that route, and they come to me and they still haven't gotten anything accomplished, but they have spent money to get involved in their program, because they'll say something like, okay, $295, and we will help you clear up all debt that you have. And then, so that $295 is, and I'm just using this number as a hypothetical, that $295 is to exhaust your debt. And then you come back to them after you've done your paperwork, and they'll say, okay, well, we started the process, but if you want us to do a full-blown and to clean everything off your report, we pulled your report, that's going to be an additional $895 or some ridiculous number. Well, as a result of that, you're paying this money, but nothing is being done yet. That's just like when individuals go to the consumer debts, and they say, okay, I'm going to enroll in this program, and this program is going to pay my debt within 24 months. My debt will be exhausted. But your credit card company, 2 months down the road, start calling you back, and you're like, why are you calling me? They say, well, we haven't gotten a payment from you in 6 months, but you made payments. So when you reach out to them, they say, well, we're taking care of our fees first, and then we're going to pay your outstanding obligations. Don't worry, everything is going to be okay. Your credit report, and you're aggravated because you're like, you know, I worked overtime, or I went without to pay them, thinking that they were paying my creditors to make me whole. And as a result, what they were doing was they were taking care of their obligation because you were under contract with them first before they address your issues. And so that's why when Dr. Seabrook asked the question about bankruptcy, I came back and said, you could do this yourself. The same work that debt stoppers are doing, you could do it yourself.
Wow. You can negotiate with those creditors yourself and get the payments in, negotiate payments down, and clear that debt on your own. And so many people need this advice. There's also another commercial about annuities, and if you have some settlement and you're only getting annual payments, there are companies that will pay you your settlement up front. So can you talk a little bit about those companies? Again,
they are paying you your settlement up front. However, if your annuity is an annuity that gives you a bump in compensation over time, you will no longer get that because they have given you your funds lump sum. And receiving your funds lump sum, whereas your annuity had a structure where you would have a cost of living adjusted, you no longer have that. And so now you have to start this process all over again. So be very mindful when they say they'll pay you up front, because you're like, okay, you're going to pay me up front. What am I losing? Because over time, this is what I would have received. And what is the fee structure for you to pay me up front? It's a fee that they're going to charge you for paying you up front.
Oh, this is such great information. So I'm going to go off the track a little bit. It's still about money. So if you won the lottery, would you take the whole payment up front, or would you want it paid out over time?
I probably would assess my situation, because first and foremost, I would go and get myself LLC for that particular situation. So it will be paid to the LLC and not to me proper.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I would do that if I took it up front. But if I can't tell you today if I would take it up front or if I would take the lump sum, only because it really depends on the situation at hand. And after assessing the entire situation, what would be best? Because this wouldn't happen to me. I'm in the financial arena, but there have been so many people that have taken their funds up front, and as a result, they end up broke.
Well, that's a lot of times that's because they did not have the education, the financial education about how to handle your finances. Same situation with someone that continually goes into debt with their credit cards and has to file bankruptcy or is getting garnished at their jobs for different debt and things like that. So I think like you said, it would also depend on where they are in their life. A 20-year-old, if I were 20 and I won the lottery, I might say, pay me over time.
Right.
But if I'm 60 or 70, I might say, give me all my money right now.
Right. I want to live. I live my best life.
Because it's not transferable.
No, it's not transferable.
Yeah.
No. And so that's why a lot of people in turn say, I want to take it lump sum. Because if I take it lump sum and I have it in my corporation, then as a result, I could take care of all of my family members. Mm-hmm. So that's why, you always say to individuals, okay, talk to me, tell me your situation, what is going on. No two situations are alike, so it's not like it's a cookie cutter situation. You can come in and say, okay, you do this, you do this, you do that. No, that's just like with anything that we do. We're planning for retirement. If we have retired, a lot of people now are getting buyouts, or they're able to, the companies are downsizing, they're taking their top execs and they are saying, hey, we're offering them a package. Okay, what's in the package? What benefits am I going to receive? If I'm under the age of 65, what happens in regards to the health care? Will my spouse be able to receive the health care for the rest of her life? If I'm older than my spouse and I'm going to receive Social Security in the next 2 years, but my spouse is not going to receive it until the next 8 years, will my spouse still be able to have health care? What about my children? If I still have kids that are in child age kids or kids that are in college. So those are all the dynamics, because you don't want to sign on the dotted line and then try to revert back, because once you ink it, that is it. Then you want to also be aware of what benefits am I leaving behind? Are there any benefits that are portable? A lot of people today, and it's just like really, I guess you could say a shocker. A lot of people do not have portable life insurance. And so they say, all my life I have $300,000 or $400,000 on my job, and now they're retiring and they have no life insurance. And they're like, oh my God, why is life insurance so expensive? Well, the cost, mortality cost, and you do have a pre-existing condition, and didn't no one say anything to me about that before? And so I'll just say at this point in my juncture, I've been in this game for 25 years. Okay, so when you went to go get your auto insurance, they never said anything to you about life insurance. Never. They're always trying to upsell their product.
Right.
And so they'll say, but I just told them I wasn't interested. I said, yeah, you should have been interested, because this is what we're working with. Well, that's not enough to bury me, or that's not enough to leave for my family members, or I got responsibilities. We can have a mortgage. Again, we have to sit down and we have to go through the process to see if something were to happen, how are we going to pay this mortgage off, or is that a great concern for you?
You touched upon retirement too. You talked about that a little bit. So can we go into a little bit more detail? How do you advise someone that wants to hurry up and get those benefits at 62 versus 65 versus now 55. For us 70?
70.
We have to work till we're 70.
I've been working forever.
I know, right? So can you talk a little bit, how would you advise someone that that their resources are kind of limited, but they're still considering taking that 62 Social Security payment?
That is an excellent question. As a matter of fact, I had a die-hard conversation with the client yesterday. She is a nurse by trade, and she says, Delta, I just cannot go to another bed. I just cannot do it. I said, well, have you thought about maybe coming out of the hospital and using your sources somewhere else? She came back and said, absolutely not. I'm done. I'll be 62 in 2 years, and I'm going to retire. And I said, okay, you can't do that. She says, what do you mean I can't? I said, we just saw each other 2 weeks ago, right? And she said, yeah. I said, do you recall the numbers? So I'm pulling up her financial plan. I said, do you recall the numbers? It's going to cost you roughly about $5,000 a month to support yourself. Based on your Social Security, we're not going to be able to receive half of that $2,500 until age 67. So now the money that you have with me, and I'm telling you that in your new endeavors that you're doing, what you're doing since you got a raise, you need to put that entire raise into your retirement account. You need to max fund it. They're giving you the ability in your 401k to do a catch-up provision because you're over the age of 50. So I recommended that. I said, and remember, I did a simple math and said, if we do this based on what you already have for me, right around 67 and 6 months, you will be ready to retire. But I'm not adding in inflation. But based on your bills right now, you would have that money at retirement. She says, Delta, I remember that conversation. Oh, yes, I do remember it. But I said, well, okay, all right. You're going to have to get I don't know what you're going to do, but you will not be able to support yourself with that money that's coming in because it's not even going to be $2,500. If you take it at age 62, you're going to take it and you're going to receive roughly about $1,695. So we don't have enough because we need $5,000, and you're taking it at 62. So whatever money that I have saved for you already, and the money that you have on your job, because remember, your job doesn't provide a pension for you. So we have a few different variables that we need to think about before you just say, I'm done. And so she just said, Delta, but you don't realize this job is so hard. I said, I realize that, but what's going to be harder is that if you leave your place of employment and you don't have sufficient dollars to take care of you, what are you going to do?
And that's a question to answer. What are you going to do? So, Delta, tell us how people can get in touch with you, because there is so much more information that I'm sure that they need to know or want to know. So tell us how they can reach out to you.
Well, first and foremost, our office is in Cherville, Indiana, and the location site is 717B 717B Main Street in Cherville, Indiana. And our contact number is 219-513-3710. And you can also go to our Facebook account and follow us, as well as our Twitter and our LinkedIn account. And then you can go to the website, because the website is www.atledfinancial.com. And if you would like to book an appointment, if you have any questions, you can leave your information on the chat room that we have there, and contact us in that form of fashion. But we're here to help. We're here to serve. And at the end of the day, I don't want anyone to feel like they have to get more money before they come. If you have a W-2, a 1099, or a consultant, you need to come see Delta Walker at Atled Financial.
That's a great story. But do you guys know the backstory on Atled? Tell them about Atled.
Atled Financial is Delta spelled backwards.
I thought that was so cute.
I'm bringing to the table what I bring to my clients: accountability, loyal, experience, dedicated. That's Atled Financial.
All right.
Oh, and don't let me forget, I forgot my T, which is most important: trustworthy.
All right.
Yes.
Trustworthy.
Yes.
And a couple things we want to go back. How does an individual find out where they can locate these high yield savings accounts? Is there a registry, something, or how do you know which banks actually offer high yield?
Well, because of the fact that they're changing on a daily basis, I just tell people to go and Google, and they could just put in the Google search engine high yield savings accounts in the Northwest Indiana area. Or if you say you don't have a problem with online banking, which a lot of people don't, I have some clients that have accounts that are like in New York and Atlanta, because of the fact they found banks down there that were not here in our area that was offering a higher yield.
To go back early on in the conversation, you talked about because of the pandemic, a lot of people are starting to share homes and different things like that. And you are absolutely correct. Difficult conversations in terms of individuals and doing their part and picking up their share. In fact, I knew a lady who had done everything for her son. He was an only child, and when he moved back into the house, I think maybe he thought that there was some entitlement because his dad had been there and different things. The problem was is every time she had that conversation, he had an excuse, gonna get a job, or my paycheck is cut down so much. So she took everything out of the refrigerator, took the toilet paper out, and started charging him for different things. Eventually he got it, but that is a conversation that is so hard for people because of the fact that you've given them so much, and then you want to try to help them out, but then people don't really want to realize that you're in a bind too with them doing certain things, coming back home.
I've had a few conversations with a few of my clients who had their kids or niece or nephew move in with them, and I took it from a jovial standpoint. They were laughing, I was laughing. They were like, "Well, Miss Delta, I can't afford you. I don't have any money." I said, "You work, right?" "Yes, you can afford me." I said, "But let's go back." And so they said, "What do you mean, let's go back?" I said, "I need you to do me a favor, and I need you to get up, and I need you to go get a piece of notebook paper and a pen or a pencil." And they say, okay, hold on. And so they'll come back, and they'll say, okay. And I'll say, "Well, don't tell me, but how much do you make?" And so I said, "Write that down. Is that a week, every 2 weeks, or once a month?" And they'll say, I said, "Don't tell me. Just write. Either if it's monthly, you just one time. If it's once a week, times it times 4. Okay, now add it. Okay. What expenses are you responsible for?" "Well, I have my car note, okay, and I got my student loans, okay." "Did you put your student loans in deferment like everybody else did?" "Well, I did." "Okay, well, don't include them." You said credit card bills." "Yes." "Okay, do you have a mortgage payment?" "No, Delta, I live here with my mom, or I live with my aunt, or I live with my cousin." "Okay, do you have a grocery bill?" "No." So at the end, they get the message. So that they're looking at, okay, you had me to add up what I made and subtract it from my expenses. And so now I have this money. But it's on paper. I never see it. And I say, "How come you never see it?" And they said, "That's a good question, because I have never known that I had this type of money." And I said, "How do you pay for things?" And they said, "With their debit card." I said, "That's the issue." So what you need to do, because of the fact that you are just not conscious of your spending, when you get paid, you need to take $100 and you need to put it in your wallet. Everything that you get, you need to pay with that money. And when that money runs out, that's it. The only thing that you pay on your debit card will probably be you give yourself a tank of gas. If you're getting a haircut, or if you're getting your hair done every 2 weeks, you put that in the expense. You use your debit card for that. But as far as eating out, going to Starbucks, I went to get some gas and I thought I wanted some potato chips to eat on the way home. All of that you pay out of that money. And they're like, "Okay." I said, "Now, although they may not have asked you, although I know otherwise, they may not have asked you who you're living with, you want to thank them financially. So if you have an additional $400 a month that has nobody's name on it, you need to give them at least 200. And you need to save 200 because you don't have an emergency reserve. So you need to start building, but it's a conversation. And so now it's to the point that they will call me and say, Miss Delta, you got a few minutes? Can you talk to me? I want to run this past you. This one girl, she says, I have never, and do you know I'm 30? I have never had over $2,000 sitting in my savings account. She said, this is remarkable to me. I am so glad that you asked my aunt, can you talk to me?
You really do realize the windfall that when you do leave the money, stop using that card and pulling that card out so often. And I think that has been one of the things that has saved me. One of the other questions that I have is they gave us stimulus money. Now people are still sitting back waiting. They need that money they need more money. Should that be the attitude? They need another stimulus check to come through.
No, it should not, because a lot of people, first and foremost, and this is no discount to anyone, but a lot of people got the stimulus money, whether it be for the PPP or the stimulus money that they gave individuals or the disaster money. It went in the hands of the wrong individuals. And I say that because you have some individuals that got the PPP money for businesses, and they weren't even business owners. You have some individuals that got the stimulus check, and they really did not need it. I mean, it was grateful that they should be grateful that they got it, but not everybody that got the stimulus check needed it. And I've had some people to say, Delta, I just put that money in a savings account because I know they're going to ask for that money back in taxes. Somehow they're going to want that money back. So when they want it, I'm going to have it there to give it to them.
That's a good way to think about it. It really is. For those who don't know, Delta has clients across the United States. So you don't have to live in Gary or in the Northwest Indiana area. She is worldwide. So please check out Delta. Go to her website, go to her Facebook page, Twitter, where else?
Twitter, LinkedIn, and the toll-free number for those individuals that Dr. Janet has just spoke to is 1-800-631-4866. 1-800-631-4866.
So we want to talk about the last thing before you go. It's Saturday. This Saturday coming up, September 26th. This Saturday, we're going to do a virtual walk and an in-person walk. It's the 20th Breast Cancer Walk, Community Health Net's 20th Breast Cancer Walk. We're back at Marquette. There will be social distancing. We'll have face masks. We have face masks to give away as a part of the goodie bag. So if you are able to come out on Saturday, this Saturday, September 26th, registration at 9, the walk starts at 10, but you can also check us out virtually when the walk begins. We're going to have fun. It'll be on Facebook Live, correct? And you'll be able to tune in and see what we're doing, and hopefully you'll send us some shout outs and send us videos of you walking, maybe in your neighborhood or on your treadmill or something. But we just want to continue to be active and engage people, and also raise money for breast cancer awareness. So Saturday, September 26th, either virtually, you can go to our Facebook page or our website, chn-indiana.org. You can go to our website to get the forms to register electronically.
Ain't that why I love James so much? I mean, I had forgotten. I said I'm sleeping late. I'm not doing anything. I don't have to move out the house. And he hands me this pink card and I have to do this. Wow. I'm supposed to be on this. I will be there. Okay? I will be there. It may take me a while to get around the park, but I'm going to get there. So I am excited about this. And oddly enough, I was going to mention breast cancer to you again today, but it's like, I'm there. I am already there. Thank you so much, James, for reminding me, because I'm telling you, I had figured out about my housework. I had my whole routine, and you just threw everything out of whack just a minute ago. So, but I am so excited, to actually be part of this. And worthy cause. I lost my aunt earlier this year, you know, and it feel good moment. I'm there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and ladies, I really appreciated this. Dr. Seabrook, I'm loving this. You got to do this next month, because it's like I like sitting back in the chair and throwing out a question every time.
Just taking over your show.
Yeah, it's on you, okay? Yeah, but we're going to be busy next month because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we'll get that going as well. But yeah, a lot of great information, and just one of those things where you can ease some of that burden, because we're COVID bound. We're thinking about that all the time, but then there's some other things that we're letting slip. So thank you so much for coming in. Thank you, Doctor, for your choice. Really, really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome, Natalie. Thank you so much for allowing me to use your platform. And I just want everybody to know that your health matters.
All righty. And with that, we are out, and thanks everyone.